When I look back on my experience as a student, I remember a couple years into playing piano that I lost the motivation to practice. I liked playing the piano and that I could play it, but I never liked taking home a new piece of music and practicing just to learn it. I felt like it was a waste of my time. And I find that as a teacher, one of my biggest focuses is keeping my students motivated. And that's important for all teachers and anything in education. If the student's not motivated to learn, then they won't do it. I find that classical music is very important to a student's musical studies, but there's other aspects of music they can explore, and there's plenty out there for any age group. Jazz became popular in the 20th century, early 20th century, and is still popular today, but it wasn't as well known for younger age groups. And now the repertoire that we're having come out, that composers are doing today, is increasing rapidly, and I think that it's a great resource for students from elementary level piano up to intermediate and advanced and farther, for them to partake in this kind of music. And for some, that might be what keeps the interest and the motivation in playing the piano. Today we will be looking at the first two books in a series called Jazz, Rags, and Blues by Martha Meir. These two books contain 18 original pieces spanning from late elementary all the way to early intermediate, containing various solos that reflect the styles of the jazz idiom. From the lyrical sophisticated sound of a slow blues to the bouncy happy beat of any ragtime, these students will love this challenge of playing in the jazz style. The first piece we'll be looking at today is called Just Strutting Along from Jazz, Rags, and Blues, Book 1. This moderate blues swing is a prime example of what we know today as the blues scale. A little different from the standard major scale that we study in our classical repertoire. The other thing unique about blues is the eighth note feel. The rhythm is everything in jazz. With eighth notes, they're what we call swung, or swinging eighth notes. The style is different. An eighth note in scale form, the same speed per two notes in swing style, but with a different adaptation. As I play Just Strutting Along, see if you can catch the swing in the eighth notes, as well as the blues scale that I demonstrated earlier. One aspect that makes jazz different from other genres of music is the use of its dense harmony. Unlike standard triads, which are made up of 3 notes, a 7th chord is composed of 4 stacked notes, thus offering a wide variety of color and texture. 7th chords are a major part of music theory, as well as jazz theory, and go quite well with the study of chords and scales. Any advancing student may enjoy this piece because of its luscious and sophisticated tone color that can be heard between the 2 hands. Here's Martha Meir's 7th Street Blues. Jazz has never been just about the big band or the rhythm section. One form of jazz piano in particular is called ragtime. This is primarily the use of bouncing left hand back and forth on the piano while the right hand improvises over the chords provided. This type of music was popular in saloons and other small dining facilities as early as the 1930s. It's still widely used today in locations such as the circus and carnivals, an event in which ragtime can be most often associated with. A great exercise for the student to understand how harmony works, increase agility in the left hand, but also facilitate the use of two very contrasting types of playing between the hands. Here's Martha Meir's Wild Honeysuckle Rag from Jazz, Rags, and Blues, Book 2. Boogie is a repetitive swung note or shuffle rhythm groove used in blues, which was originally played on the piano in boogie-woogie music. The characteristic rhythm and feel of boogie was then adapted to guitar, double bass, and other instruments. Today, the term boogie usually refers to dancing, pop, disco, or rock music. So depending on the level of student's ability, there's plenty of resources out there for jazz style pieces that a student can learn. This Jazz, Rags, and Blues set that Martha Meir has composed is a great resource for beginners to look into learning some more upbeat popular things that contrast with their current classical repertoire. I strongly recommend keeping this set in my studio, in any studio as far as that goes, because it could mean that your student ends up continuing their piano career because they found some music they really like to play. As a student's knowledge increases, they can experience the more improvisatory feeling of jazz, where they play literally improvisation based on their knowledge of the scales that are offered in jazz, the chords that you can play, and go from there. But that's a music theory advance as well. But there are plenty of pieces out there that will start a student off in a jazz style to keep them going. And I recommend these Jazz, Rags, and Blues books. Thank you.